So recently, I made a trailer.
Do you like strategy, action, eldritch abominations?
A friend of mine commissioned me to make this trailer. He's working on a game, it's in early access right now. It's called Dark Realms 4X, or Drax, and it is a haunted strategy game that is running on a haunted Apple II. That's basically the premise. Drax sort of also has ARG elements, like you can see it in parts of the menu where like some stuff is just ciphered. And there's whole chunks of the game that I've seen screenshots of that I don't know how to get to. It's a rabbit hole, basically. So I had to come up with some sort of idea for how to explain this to a layperson and get them to see why it's cool. And this was kind of like, initially I thought it was going to be a difficult project. I thought this was going to be a hard trailer to make. So I thought about it for a couple days, or for a day, I should say, not a couple, a day. And this was the solution I came up with. I thought, what if we make this trailer, but it's actually an advertisement for Drax in universe, like an advertisement for the haunted strategy game, and it was corrupted in some way. So my inspiration for this trailer is old NES ads,
the official wireless remote controller, licensed by Nintendo, created by Acclaim,
and analog horror.
Tired of only experiencing natural emotions? With Thalassen Plus, experience emotions beyond previous natural capabilities. These new emotions include degrance, humber, nage, dorselessness.
And once I pitched this idea, Mike, the guy who's making Drax, he decided to get a voice actor. And that was a crazy moment, because like before it was just like, oh, I'm just, he's asking me to do something. He's a friend of mine. I'll just, this is gonna be a fun little project. Once we're getting a VA involved, I'm like, oh, I'm a director. I'm directing. Even if this is sort of amateur, I'm kind of playing with somebody else's money now. Oh boy, oh boy, the pressure's on. So I wrote the script, and I sent it off, and within like a day or two, I got it back. And so then the first step was trying to edit the audio to, be horror and like corrupt and stuff, right? So my first attempt at this, I just tried corrupting the audio like as best I could, and like it sounded really bad. Like it wasn't sounding scary, it sounded like a shitpost.
Eldritch abominations?
So what I did is I've used this skill that I've learned in programming, which is just search for it. Just search for the answer. Somebody else had the same problem as you, and they've already figured it out, and they posted it online so you can just copy. And so I found a YouTube video of somebody somebody explaining how to do spooky or horror sort of sound effects, and I'll show you what I did. So we'll start with this example goat sound. And we can make it sound creepier by just reversing it, just playing it in reverse. Alright, we're getting somewhere. But, ready for this? What if instead, like before we flip it, we give it reverb, and then we flip it? Well, that's sounding a lot spookier, isn't it? So the reverb and the flipping it's called backmasking, those two combine to make like a really potent spooky effect. And you can make it sound even spookier by just slowing it down on top of that. So yeah, basically I just, did these sort of techniques on different audio files, like the voice, the in-game music, a bunch of other sound effects, until I got it feeling like haunted enough. And I just played around with that. Yeah, once I knew that technique, the audio was pretty easy and just came together. So that was the audio half. The other part that I wanted this trailer to use really old CG, early CG style. And luckily, I knew exactly how to do that. See, I've been using Blender for quite a while now. Before the modern sort of Eevee render engine, they had this really old one that was called the Blender render engine that was like straight out of the 90s. Like, its technique for rendering 3D models is just vintage. So I just downloaded an old version of Blender and did some 3D modeling and rendered with the Blender engine and the Blender render engine, and just used that file in modern Blender, which worked really well. The other effect that I did was, this is how I overlaid 3D video or 3D modeling renders with edited gameplay. So I'd render the 3D model stuff with a solid black background. And then what I would do is render it once, and I'd save that file as like one file, like here's the video. And then I would set the background to white, and I would remove all of the lights in the scene. So the models would become solid black, right? You got to turn off the environment light too. They become solid black. And then in the composer, I would use a node, the compositor, that's what it's called. I'd use a node to just flip the colors, just invert them. So you'd have a black background where nothing is rendered, and a white where there's a model. And with this, I would render this, and this would be the mask video. In Blender, in the video editor, you can just set something to mask, and it'll turn whatever is black in the video, it'll turn that to, in the mask video, it'll turn that to transparent. Anything that's white, it'll keep. And so that's how you could just sort of alpha over the effect. That's how you can see the gameplay footage underneath the model video. It's a really simple technique, and it means that I can edit the video I can edit the main trailer without having any 3D rendering, slowing down my computer or slowing down the process. There's just no 3D models in the main trailer file, because all of those were contained in a separate file. This is a clever trick for low-powered computers, like my laptop. It's not really low-powered, but, for 3D modeling and rendering, yeah, it is. So that was that. In the main video, this was the technique I did to distort gameplay. On top of, using keyframes to move and scale stuff, what I can do is I can use keyframes on the color correction. So that's how I would get the colors to change drastically over the parts. Also, there's different blend modes, right, for how you blend video together. Instead of just using the alpha channels and making stuff transparent, you can also add or multiply. What adding does is it adds the colors together, which tends to make them brighter. Whereas multiply, because each of the color channels are between 0 and 1, they're all a fraction. And when you start multiplying fractions together, they get smaller. And so if you have a static effect and you start multiplying, anything that's dark just gets really dark. And it's really good. It really adds the spooky analog feel. And then finally, once I had this whole trailer with the effects all done, I then added one more effect on top. I found this on a YouTube channel. It's a Blender file called VHS23, and basically you give it a video, and it outputs authentic looking VHS effects in a lower resolution. Right, so I'd render my trailer and put it through VHS23, and I get the VHS effect. And all I had to do was modify the Blender file so that the output would be in a widescreen format. And that's literally all I did. And I have a trailer, and I'm going to show that to you now.
New from RBI. Do you like strategy, action, eldritch abominations? Introducing Dark Realms 4S. Drax. Drax is easy to learn, hard to master. Drax has many playstyles. Play as Kingdom, Bandits, Goblins, Mushrooms, occult followers of... Play the campaign.
You are the new Red King. You have inherited an empire of sorts.
Or generate a new realm. It's perfectly safe. Available on Node OS, Itch.io, and Steam today. Sending not included.
So that's the trailer I made. My friend who commissioned this trailer, he told me he loves this trailer and it's great, and he's happy he commissioned me to do it. Anybody who's like currently a fan of Drax seems to like this trailer. They seem to love it. And I'm very happy with how this turned out. I think it's better than what I thought I could have done in the past. So if you find this game interesting, I'll leave a link in the description or a pinned comment or somewhere. You can go scroll down and check that out. But yeah. Let's get to some quick updates here. So I've been working on a project, and I've been planning it out, a video game project, and I've decided that I'm not going to be using C++. Also, just after using the internet for a bit, I've run into several other people who thought of the same pun name as this channel and had their like usernames Coffee++. So I think it's just not an original funny name, and it doesn't reflect, what I plan on showing on this channel. So I think I'm going to change the channel name. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to change it to my real name, because that's a thing that we do now on YouTube, I guess. It's just use your real name. Lots of people are doing that now, and I might as well just, join in the fun. My name is Gwen, and that's going to be the channel name. My next video on this channel will be about the actual project. We're going to get back to that. Subscribe if you would like updates on my new game project. But yeah, thank you for watching. What did you think of this trailer? Did it convince you to buy this game? I know if I want to release my own game and have people actually see it and play it, I'm gonna have to get good at advertising. So it's good to get the experience early, right? Anyway, thanks for watching. Goodbye.